Hey everyone, it's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the biggest haul I have ever done and probably ever will, because I have like 50 books, which is just ridiculous, but I've accumulated these books at the end of September and then throughout October. None of these were purchased full price. There's a couple that were new from Chapters or the Book Depository, but all the rest were purchased during the Value Village sale, which all the books were $1 or $2, or during my library book sale, so all the books were 25 cents, and the rest were purchased from Book Outlet. So if you don't know Book Outlet, highly recommend it. I will link it down below, but all the books are around like $5 or less, so pretty affordable way to purchase books. The first book I purchased was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, I'm not sure how you say it. This book is basically a sci-fi thriller-ish book. I actually read this book already, and I'm not gonna say too much about books that I'm gonna review in my wrap-up, but basically you're following a man that gets kidnapped, and then the last thing he is told before he blacks out is, are you happy with your life? And you're basically following this. I don't want to say too much, but just think parallel universe physics. So even if you're not a big fan of physics but you like sci-fi, I highly recommend this. I absolutely adored it. Next book is A Monster Call by Patrick Ness. I am planning on reading this book. There's a readathon, 24-hour readathon this Saturday, so if you want to participate, feel free to do so. But that's one of the books that I want to read because it's 200 pages and this is going to become a movie. I don't know a lot about this book, but I know there's some beautiful illustration in there, and you're following a little boy that gets basically hunted by a monster, and he learns that his mom has cancer. That's basically all I know, but I'm planning on reading this weekend, and it's just stunning, and I can't wait to see the movie. Apparently it's gonna make me cry, so I'm gonna get ready. I See You by Clare Mackintosh. I'm still trying to find time to read this month. I'm not sure it's gonna happen, but look at that cover. This is the UK one, so I bought it on the Book Depository because it was too pretty to pass up. Basically, this book is a girl that finds her picture in a newspaper, which is just a dress or a number, I don't remember, and she just has no idea why she's being followed. So kind of thriller mystery for fall. This is the perfect type of book. I adore these ones, and I just couldn't resist the packaging. I have been on a huge Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab book binge. I've been like reading everything she's written. If you haven't read A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadow, totally recommend. They were so good. But I decided to pick up her two earlier books. So you have The Archive and you have the Unbound. If I'm not wrong, the girl is kind of the key between like the world, the dead and like the living. She's a keeper or something, so I just wanted to read everything she's written because her writing is just beautiful. So I decided to pick up these two books. I believe the third one is available online but wasn't published. The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, which is a movie that just came out and I haven't seen it yet, but I have read the book and it's really good. I didn't know how much I would like it. You're basically following a girl. She's not, actually no characters in there is likable. Just warning if you're not into those books, but none of them are likable, and I especially despise Anna, but the main character you're following is an alcoholic, and she just goes on a train every day and sees through the window houses, and then she just imagines the life of one of the two people that lives in one of the house. And one day she just notices that something is different and like there's murder and everything, so she basically decides to try and solve the murder. I recommend reading the book before seeing the movie. I just always prefer that, but yeah, I liked it. Starting with that book, I'm talking about the ones that I got for $1 or $2. So next one is the Locke series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I believe is like a kind of a cheesy love story with, is it an alien or something? But I've heard that it's like fun read, like light fluffy read that if you read it for what it is, it's fun. So I decided, why not? And it's pretty chunky because there's two different books in one, so why not? Then there's A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. Basically, I bought this book because I've heard that you're following someone in a magical school, and I love these type of setting. It just makes me like remember Harry Potter and just, I miss it. This is the type of thing that if it's what the book is about, I'm gonna be buying it. So that's what I did. I was so happy when I found this book. I literally screamed in the store because I found last month The Lightbringer, the first book of the Lightbringer series, and I found the third one, and it's just, I couldn't believe it. I was about to like start buying the series because I want to read it and I don't like to have to wait. So I like to have them all and then read them. This is the third book in that series. This is The Broken Eye by Brent Weeks. I've heard amazing things. It's like a high fantasy book and I'm all about that. I don't know too much about it. I simply know the magic system is pretty interesting, goes with like light, colored light. There's like a couple different type of magic based on that. So apparently it's really good. I've been wanting to read a lot of fantasy book and couldn't resist it. I also picked up A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley's, which, how creepy is the cover? There's little babies. Like, I read the first 2 chapters of this, and can I tell you, like, this is creepy in like a weird way. It's a dystopian society where babies are like created, like the fetuses are treated differently for depending like where and what they're gonna do in society. So basically torturing babies to prevent them from liking books or nature or art, which I don't know, I'm already totally weirded out, but I've heard that it's a great book to read, so yeah, I'm probably gonna go back to it. I just had so many other books that I wanted to read this month, but already creepy. Then I found this one. This is The Girl with All the Gift by M.R. Carey, which I don't know too much about. I know you're following a story based from the eyes of a young girl, and I think it's about zombies or something, which I didn't know if I would have time this month to read it, maybe not, but I've heard mixed reviews. Some people really like it, some people are like meh, so it's a great cover too, so I couldn't resist. I feel like it's gonna be really good on my bookshelf. Do you do that sometimes? But I was interested in reading it. It was cheap. I picked it up. The next book is It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini, and the girl there just shoved my book in a bag, and I was so pissed because she just bent the cover. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I hate when people don't treat books well. Anyway, I don't know much about this book. I just know that a lot of people love it, so I decided to pick it up, and that's all I want to know. I love thrifting and seeing books that I know. That's usually why I grab them, and I'm super excited. It was a case when I saw this one. This is The Nightingale by Krinstin, which is a historical fiction following 2 girls. I think they're 2 sisters during World War II. I believe they are in France, so they're not directly affected by the war, but you can see the repercussion? I swear, whenever a word is the same in French and English, I can't pronounce it. Anyway, so when I saw it, I kind of freaked out because it's a pretty big book and it was in really great condition, so always a big plus. I've been wanting to read more historical fiction, so I think this could be a great one. You know how I said I wanted to read more fantasy book? I saw this one too for like $1. I totally freaked out. This is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Lynch. And I have heard so many raving reviews about this. Apparently it's absolutely amazing. And the series is called The Gentleman Bastards. Like, does that not sound awesome? So I really wanted to read this. I don't know too much about it. I believe you're following 8 Teeth, but that's pretty much all I know. And I've heard amazing things, and I'm all about reading more fantasy. So really happy to have found this one for really cheap. Speaking of fantasy, I have a couple more to share. I found this one. This is Half a King by Abercrombie. I don't know too much about it, but again, a fantasy book that I have heard great reviews about, and it's pretty short, so I do like reading once in a while pretty short books, because sometimes when you read like really thick book nonstop, you just burn out. Then I saw The Passage by Justin Cronin. If I'm not wrong, it's kind of a thriller with like vampire, or is it zombies, which it's the fall. I'm all about these books. I see them and I buy them all, and it's huge, and it was in great condition. I believe I heard great reviews about it. So next I pick up The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd, which I've been recommended to read it. Apparently it's a kind of a modern classic that everybody reads. It's supposed to be like a family story, and it's supposed to be good, so why not? It was cheap. I couldn't resist it. I feel like it's when you go for a sale, you just grab everything you remember thinking about or seeing. I also was excited to find Quiet by Susan Cain. Basically it's about introverts, and if you don't know, I am an introvert. I am pretty like social, but I am shy and like I need my alone time. So apparently it's like a great book saying how in a society where you really push extroverts, and like extroverts are like everything to aspire to, it just shares like what is good about being an introvert, and why not? I don't read a lot of nonfiction, so if you have recommendations, leave them down below, because you will notice 99% of what I read or buy is fiction, especially fantasy, but I'm open to reading more nonfiction. Speaking of huge fantasy fiction book, I saw this book and I was planning on buying it at Chapters, but when I saw it for $2, how could I say no? This is The Nightingale, the complete trilogy in one book from Brent Weeks, and have you seen the size of this thing? And it's a floppy one, which is just the best type of book, but how huge is this? There's 1.2K pages on this book, so this is gonna keep me busy, and I'm okay with that. I believe these two were the last ones that I bought during the Value Village sale. I believe they were $1 each. So those are both from Terry Goodkind. This is the, where's the name? Swerd Truth, I think, series. So this is the first book and the second book. I've heard mixed things about them, but some people really like them, and I decided I'm gonna just think and read them myself and make my own opinion. And again, super chunky. I don't really love mass paperback book, but these type of like high fantasy that aren't new are really hard to come by in anything other than them. So I decided, what the heck, I'm still gonna buy them and read them. At the end of September, my library had a sale, and they're literally having another one this weekend, but I really wanted to post this video right now, so I'm gonna share with you what I found at that one. And I only found 4 books, but they were all 25 cents, and I just needed to share because when you see what I found for 25 cents, you might freak out too. I found the first book in the Outlander series, so this one is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. And it is the floppy edition, which I like again. I've heard this is like a historical fiction that is supposed to be like absolutely amazing. There is a TV series, but I haven't seen it, but I've been recommended to watch the series first, and then it's gonna be easier to read those. Like, they're not 1,000 pages, the other ones are, but this one is like 600 plus pages. So apparently there's a lot of explanation. First book's in like a 8-book series. There's always going to be a lot of like foundation things. So yeah, I got this one, 25 cents. How could I say no? Plus, I really love this color, like dark blue like this. Royal blue is everything. I was planning on buying this book, so when I saw it for 25 cents, I totally jumped on it. Fangirl by Rowell, which 25 cents for the hardcover. I was just really, really happy. I was just so happy, and it's like perfect condition, which is very difficult to find used. So I was really, really happy. I know this one is like kind of a light, fluffy read. You're following a girl that struggles whenever she starts university, college, so why not? And I wanted to read this one before reading Carey On that I've been recommended, so I got it for 25 cents. I also found a small paperback edition, but again, so cheap, how could I say no? This is Anansi Boys by Gaiman, and I have heard that it's absolutely amazing. I am planning on reading everything that Gaiman has written, so why not? So you know, I was really excited for finding the first book and then the third book in the Lightbringer series. Well, look what I found for 25 cents. I literally screamed when I found this. I was so happy because it was literally like this. All the books were like lined up, and I saw number 2 and I'm like, no, there's no way I just found that one. Yes I did. So I literally have the whole series. Actually, I think this week the 4th one is coming out. But for now, I have the full series. Got the second one. It's in pretty good condition, like not perfect, but for 25 cents. And it's the floppy one, not the hardcover, so even better. I also got Flowers for Algernon by Danielle Keyes. And I know you're following a little mouse, and apparently it's really tragic and you're just crying like crazy at the end, which I don't know what's up with me. During the fall, you want to cry a little bit too. So I got this book. Apparently it's a classic that is really, really good. Kind of want to go as blind as possible, so I got this book. The rest of the books were purchased from book outlets, and they had a lot of really good books that I wanted to read. First one being Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and this book is a kind of sci-fi book where there's a game that people go and play into, and the guy is dying and puts like an Easter egg, and the person that will find the Easter egg will just own the game afterwards or something like that. I'm sorry if it's a really poor explanation, but I don't know too much about it. Again, I love the spine, but apparently it's really, really good if you like video games, and apparently there's a lot of reference for the 80s. I wasn't born in the 80s, but it apparently is good, so. I got this book because everyone keeps saying how good it is, and I keep not wanting to buy it because the cover, I find it really ugly, which I know is a really bad reason. The inside should be what matters and all that, but I don't know, sometimes you just don't want to buy a book because you don't find it pretty. In person, it's actually prettier, and I'm talking about Uproot by Naomi Novik, and from up close, it's not as bad as like when people show it like that, I'm like, what is this? I'm sure some people will hate me for this, but I just don't like it. Anyway, apparently, again, fantasy book, magic, that's all that matters to me apparently. I decided to get it. I want to go as blind as possible because I've heard amazing things about it. I'm going to be posting a video where I share like big book series that I haven't read yet, and I decided to pick up this book because first off, it was cheap. Second of all, I think everyone is currently needing to read it, and I haven't read it yet. I know. Shame on me. I haven't read Shatter Me by Clare Mackintosh, which I know, I haven't read it yet. You're following a girl that her touch kills people, and that's what I know about it. Apparently it's a must-have. It's not too big, but I haven't read it yet. I know. I've been wanting to read Haruki Murakami. Wow, struggle there. And I've heard that Norwegian Woods is one of the books that everybody has read in Japan, and that everybody says that you need to read from him. So when I saw it on Book Outlet, I decided to grab it. I haven't read any of these books, but apparently he's a really, really great writer, so I wanted to start reading them. I've apparently been into buying older fantasy books for whatever reason, and I've heard great things about The Thief by Megan Welland Turner. This is a series that has been out for a while, but the last book is coming out soon, or one of the latest books is coming out soon, so I decided why not get them and start reading them. It's pretty short, and I do like during exam, because December is coming up soon, I like reading shorter books. That way I don't feel like I have to finish the book and like not study, which not good. So obviously about a thief and magic, which seems to be my combo for whatever reason. That and like magical school, you got me right there. When you get out of rent during a haul, you know that you bought a ridiculous amount of books. Can you blame me? They were all really, really cheap, and I just didn't own a lot of books. A lot of people were commenting how my shelves were empty, and I'm like, I know, that's why I started my book channel, because I wanted to read more, and I started fresh with like nothing on my shelves, and now they're gonna be really full. And you probably can tell, what did I buy there? Fishes by V. Schwab, which I have read this month, and it's really good. You're basically following two main characters. They are friends during college, and then something happens and they are not friends anymore, and just think super powered, kind of super villain book, and I do recommend it. Again, V. Schwab's writing is just great. I'm currently reading, and a little bit struggling reading, More Than This by Patrick Ness. It's not that it's not a good book, it's just that it's pretty thick, and the beginning was pretty slow paced, so I had to like read a couple pages every day to just, you know, try to finish it. And then it started picking up at like after a third of the book, it gets really good. So I am almost done with this. It's kind of hard to explain without spoiling anything. Basically, a guy wakes up and he remembers dying, but then where is he? Is he in hell? Is he alive? What's going on? So yeah. Another book that I've read this month is You by Carey Mackintosh, which, how creepy is this book? You're basically following a guy that stalks a girl after he meets her when he's working at a bookstore, and wow, is it creepy to keep reading you, because that's how he's talking about her, and it just starts to make you feel like you're being stalked. And I think the true horror there is the fact that that could happen in real life. That's really what's creepy. The only thing is that none of the characters are really likable. Like the girl he's stalking, I don't really like her. So I kind of like, at one point you don't feel so bad about it, which is really wrong, and you're almost like rooting for the stalker. Very interesting read for sure. So if you haven't read it, definitely a fall recommendation, because that is creepy. Bird Box by Josh Mellerman, another creepy fall recommendation there. In this book, something happened in the world, and every time someone sees you don't know what, they go completely cuckoo and start killing other people and kill themselves in like atrocious ways, and people end up having to barricade themselves into their house, just covering the windows, and whenever they go outside they have to cover their eyes. So basically during the book you're following a girl that doesn't see, and you have to rely on like all the other descriptions, which is very different. Very interesting read for sure, and truly horror. Yeah. Another book I want to read during my 24 readathon, because again, it's shorter and I feel like it's gonna be motivating to read like 200 pages book. And this is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I don't know too much about this. I know it's like an older man that goes back to his hometown, and apparently it's sad, but it's kind of horrible. So 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I didn't even realize that I'm pretty sure I didn't pay for the signed one, and when I opened it at first, I was like, oh no, I got one that someone like wrote crap in it. Fail. This book, there's a girl that kills herself and then sends out like 13 stories, 13 cassette, where she explained why she kills herself and the people responsible to a certain extent that just brought her to that situation, so a small event can become like a huge thing. It just sounded really interesting. It's very different, so I'm planning on reading this month for sure. The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson, and This is a series. I believe the third book is already out. You're following a girl and she basically decides to run away. She doesn't want to get married, and there's two people running after her. The guy that she's supposed to marry and the guy that is hired to kill her, but she doesn't know who is who throughout the whole story, and that sounded so interesting, so I cannot wait to read this book. Another Rainbow Rowell book. Apparently I'm on a roll. This one is Attachments. An IT guy starts reading a little too much emails between two co-workers that are best friends, and he falls in love with one of them, but yeah, that sounded like an interesting premise. Every heart a doorway, and I heard how to pronounce the word correctly, and now I can't remember. Is it Shinon? Yeah, now I can't remember. Anyway, McGuire. It's actually really short. I didn't realize how small this book was. The premise sounded really interesting. It's basically a school, or a place where kids that went to places like Narnia go back and just try to rehabilitate themselves for like the normal world. I thought it sounded pretty interesting, and that cover is just stunning. All the other books I don't know much about, so I'm gonna go through them quickly, but they are all books that pretty much everyone would tell me that I need to read them, so that's what I'm doing. This series seems to have pretty mixed reviews, but apparently the first book is the best one. And I'm talking about The Unbecoming of Meredith by Michelle Hawkins. Apparently it's a pretty dark book, so again, great read for the fall, but it was really cheap and everyone says that I need to read it, so. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. The Girl at Midnight by Michelle Gray. My True Love gave to me basically 12 holiday stories, which holidays are coming up, and I thought I needed at least one holiday-ish read. Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. I am planning on finishing this series. I haven't started yet, but the series that I haven't actually read yet. So I needed to grab the two other ones. I have the first one, so this needs to happen. Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks, which is another high fantasy series that needs to be read. Neil Gaiman, American Gods, The Queen of the Tearling and The Invasion of the Tearling by Erika Johansson. And I feel like they were so much bigger when I would see them like on camera, and actually they look pretty big, but they're not that big, they're not that big. The covers are absolutely beautiful, and everyone says that they need to be read, so. So this, guys, those are the 50 books that I bought in the last month, and so I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these. What do you think of them? Is there any other books that you think I need to read? Any more classic fantasy books? I would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.